The idea of building an elevator into outer space was first proposed by a Russian author, K.E. Teslovsky, in 1895. That's right, an elevator to safely and cheaply carry things up to an orbiting space station. Now, Dr. Bradley Edwards and his supporters are working to do just that. They're working on a space elevator right now.
Space elevator has been around for decades, but generally it's been considered science fiction. It's expensive to get into space, and that's why everybody's anxious to get a new transportation system to get into space. We believe it's very viable to have one built if the effort gets started and really runs in 10 to 15 years.
Researchers are working with various models to test their theories on how to build this elevator. The current design involves a long ribbon connecting a base station on Earth to a counterweight in space. Once the ribbon is in place, ascenders will climb that ribbon into orbit.
You first take up a set of spools of ribbon up to low Earth orbit. Those ribbons are moved up to geosynchronous orbit, and then from there you start deploying down the end of the spool. Gravity will pull it straight down toward Earth, and as you do that you fire off some rockets that move your big spool that's left and the spacecraft up beyond geosynchronous as the end of the spool goes down. And so as it deploys, you're building your ribbon. When it's all done, you've got one end touching the Earth and the other end with your dead satellite up at 62,000 miles.
The first hurdle to overcome is building a proper ribbon.
What has sort of prevented it from being developed for decades is the material, because we've needed something strong enough to make it. If you run something 62,000 miles long, it can't support its own weight. And if you look at steel, Kevlar, spider silk, anything we've got, none of it's strong enough.
Advances in nanotechnology have created carbon nanotubes, a super strong and light material.
Carbon nanotubes came around in about 1991. It's 100 times stronger than steel. It's 70 times stronger than Kevlar for the same weight. Now all of a sudden, we can build a string or a ribbon that's only twice as thick at geosynchronous as it is at Earth, and it will support itself. Now all of a sudden we have a material that we can build a space elevator with.
After a ribbon is developed, researchers must design ascenders, or climbers, that will clamp onto the ribbon and climb up to the stars.
Most of what we're seeing in progress in the technology and the developments that's going on around me here is in the development of the climbers, the engineering and the specifics of that. The hardware is very well refined, and it's getting to be, extremely high quality. We're getting close to the speeds that are needed in the real space elevator.
How to power the ascenders is much debated, but most researchers have settled on the idea of beamed energy.
It's not as simple as just, having an extension cord. So what we've gone to is beamed power, where we have a high-powered laser on the ground. That high-powered laser shines up at solar cells, photocells on the bottom of the climber. It collects lots of power, it's lightweight, and now you've got enough power that the climbers can ascend at 120 miles an hour at that power level. And at that rate, you can get to geosynchronous in a week, which is a pretty good travel time. Low Earth orbit, you're up in a few hours, which is where the shuttle goes to.
The primary objective of the space elevator is to replace rockets, but a finished elevator will do much more.
We've scaled this to be useful. Not too big, not too small, something that will deliver current payloads, current telecommunications satellites. They weigh about 5 tons, what they deliver into geosynchronous orbit. That's pretty much the limit of the current large rockets, like a Titan IV can deliver about 5 tons to geosynchronous orbit. The shuttle, for example, can deliver about 23 tons. So we're talking about payloads on the elevator of about 13 tons. We can deliver to low Earth orbit pretty much the payloads that are being delivered. We can deliver 2.5 times what's being delivered to geosynchronous, and we can deliver much more payload going to the moon and Mars than is being considered. For the elevator, we're talking about operating costs of $100, $200 a pound to any place. We haven't talked too much about having a space station at the upper end. It's got various complications. You'd have partial gravity out there. So in general, what we talk about is a large station at geosynchronous, which in reality is the most viable, usable place. It's great for telecommunications satellites, it's great for Earth observing, it's great for construction, it's great for solar power satellites, it's great for a jump-off point to go up and go to other planets.
Safety, weather, and orbiting debris are also a concern.
If the ribbon breaks, you just let go. Nothing happens. The ribbon, because of its length, will take hours to recoil. So it'll be hours before anything actually happens where you are.
This science fiction may become fact sooner than anyone imagined. It is rumored one country already has a mandate to build one.
The Japanese actually have a space elevator written on their strategic plan to be built in 2030. The one who builds the first elevator could have a tremendous advantage, where all of a sudden they could be building large systems and they could be deploying huge amounts of material. They could be colonizing Mars. A country that builds the first space elevator could quickly be building solar power satellites and become the next global power or energy supplier. And it could change the economics of the planet.
If achieved, the space elevator will offer the most cost-effective means of getting things into space. From satellites to space tourists, a new jumping point for space exploration is now in the works.